Hello, my name's Neil Smith. I've got a condition called Kallmann syndrome. I've made a few videos about this before, but I haven't made one for a while, so I thought about time I made another one. Kallmann syndrome is a rare genetic hormonal condition which is associated with a lack of sense of smell, called anosmia, and delayed or absent puberty. It's also called, or it's also known as congenital hypogonadotropic hypogonadism, where there's delayed puberty but a normal sense of smell. But Kallmann syndrome is where there's delayed puberty or no puberty and no sense of smell. It affects about 1 in 50,000 people. It's a very rare condition, so it's sometimes quite difficult to diagnose, or people are often misdiagnosed with other conditions, or they're too embarrassed to see their doctor about it, or they're just do not just to get diagnosed with something else instead. But just people don't realise this condition exists. It's not really very well known in the medical community, and so often people are dismissed as late developer, late bloomer. I myself wasn't diagnosed until I was 23. So it affects both men and women. The normal age for diagnosis is about late teenager to early adulthood. You can pick it up early, but that depends on seeing the early signs, and unless you know about the condition in advance or have a doctor who is experienced with the condition, then may not be able to pick up the signs early. But anybody, like a male who hasn't started puberty by 15 or a female who hasn't started puberty by 14 and they've got no sense of smell, it could be a case of Kallmann syndrome. There are other conditions as well, but it's worth asking and getting it investigated. So it causes, lack of puberty, so lack of secondary sexual development and infertility. The anosmia is, I don't really notice it too much. Other people tend to notice it for me, but I've lived with it for over 40 years, so it doesn't really bother me too much at the moment. In my case, I also have slight deafness, which is also linked to Kallmann syndrome. And there are other little conditions that are sometimes linked to Kallmann syndrome, sometimes not. Something like have dental problems or facial problems or have mirror movements of the hands. Then not everybody with Kallmann syndrome have them. It just depends on what type of Kallmann syndrome you have. It's a genetic condition, but unfortunately there's over 25 different genes that have already been identified causing this condition, which makes the testing for it very difficult. It also makes the inheritance prediction very difficult as well. And even with these 25 genes, they cover only about 50% of the cases. So there's still about 50% of cases which have an unknown genetic origin. It's definitely congenital. The vast majority of people are born with this condition. There is a rare form of this condition where you can acquire it during life, but for the vast majority of people, they're actually born with this condition, which is congenital. So the treatment is either for men hormonal replacement therapy, so that's testosterone, so they take gels, injection or tablets, or for females they have estrogen and progesterone, and that mimics the normal hormones they should have at that age. I'm not on testosterone myself at the moment. I'm on something called Pregnil, or human chorionic gonadotropin, and that enables the testes to produce their own testosterone. They don't grow in size; they still stay the same size they've always have been, so which is under 4 mils. So they don't normally produce testosterone on their own. But when I take Pregnil, that stimulates the testes to produce their own testosterone. That saves me having to inject testosterone itself. But I have to take either this or testosterone for the rest of my life, or else I'll have no testosterone at all. Testosterone is not a vital hormone for life, but it does affect the quality of life. And without testosterone, you can be prone to getting osteoporosis, brittle bone disease, and you'll be at high risk of being overweight and developing type 2 diabetes and things like that. But you don't have to have testosterone, but people really do feel better when they're on testosterone and have the normal level, because it gives you normal energy levels, sex drive, libido, and just like being normal male, and the same with the females, being on progesterone and estrogen enables them to feel more normal, feel more female, and have the normal drives females do, and have normal physical development. There's also fertility treatments available for both men and women. They're more effective in females. Well, they're more faster acting in females, but it can sometimes take about 2 years of treatment for men to become fertile on, and they have to take a specialist treatment called gonadotropin therapy, which is just replacing the hormones. Kallmann syndrome means the pituitary hormones are missing, which means in fertility treatment you have to replace the pituitary hormones, and that hopefully will stimulate fertility. I've been on fertility treatment twice in my life. It's worked both times. I've had sperm reduction both times, but as soon as you stop treatment, you then stop producing sperm. So most men just take the treatment as long as they require sperm. They stop the treatment, the testes then shrink back to their original size, and they start producing sperm again. So I've had a few friends who've been on fertility treatment and they've had 1 or 2 children, and they go back onto regular testosterone therapy. I'm heavily involved in talking to other patients, either in the UK and around the world, either through Facebook groups, or there's a group on Rare Connect, which enables me to talk to patients face to face through the internet, and sometimes I meet up with them in person, which I find very helpful. And it's just giving out information and I talk to KS experts in Switzerland, Boston, United States, and the UK, so I get up to date information, and I try and pass that on to fellow patients. And I enjoy being involved with that, and enjoy being able to pass on information to other patients, because the early diagnosis and early treatment really helps a lot. I think I've been talking for 6 minutes already. I think that's more than enough talking. It's just an introduction to Kallmann syndrome, and I'm more than happy to talk to patients who with this condition, or try to give out more information. I'll leave you information about the Facebook groups, the Rare Connect group, if you want to talk to other patients, but I'm more than happy to talk to anybody or try and pass on information. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you then. Bye-bye.